Hello, in this video I'll be playing through episode 6 of Interrogation You'll Be Deceived, illustrating how you can get a confession and win the episode, hopefully without having to resort to any sort of enhanced interrogation techniques. This video is intended to help you if you're stuck, but I strongly suggest you stop the video once you feel you have what you need to finish the conversational puzzle on your own, so that you don't ruin your experience of the game. There are many ways to finish an episode, and I will be showing you only one of them, so try to go back to the game and discover your own. Let's start with the case before us. In episode 6, we finally have 3 full-fledged Liberation Front members with enough evidence to convict all of them. We know these people were involved in the string of explosions and the string of bomb attacks throughout the city. So what we need is not a confession. We already have all we need to convict them. What we need is to understand what the Liberation Front's next target is. That is what we need to extract from these people, which will not be easy given the fact that they know they're facing a terrorism conviction. They know they have nothing to lose at this point. So it's going to be really hard to get them to cooperate with us. The 3 people we have are Helen Kufos. She was the actual person that recruited Cassandra Higgs, the woman that did the hostage situation. She is a paying member of our Small Animals Friends organization, participated in protests organized by Futurist Female, a lifetime voter of the Green Party. She's a yoga instructor. She seems to have been handling recruitment for the Liberation Front through numerous chat rooms. She's also deaf and mute, but we will have the aid of an interpreter helping us communicate with her. So, Helen Kufos, the recruiter of the Liberation Front. Next up, we have Anton Drasko, a porn producer with a reputation for niche fetish production. His studio has been involved in multiple lawsuits, but it seems that Drasko has reached settlement agreements in all cases. Drasko seems to have been involved with Gabriel Adams, the priest from episode 4, and it seems that Anton Drasko delivered the bomb that Father Adams confessed to have planted. So that's how our link we have with Anton Drasko and the Liberation Front. Finally, we have Linda Bailey, a widow of a decorated general. She's unemployed from what we gathered. She's fully dedicated to raising her 3 sons. They live in a large country house on the outskirts of a town. But it seems what we uncovered is that Daniel Wilson was blackmailed by Linda Bailey, so she is responsible for blackmailing Daniel Wilson into planting the bomb, Daniel Wilson being the former Marine in episode 3. So at this point, these are our suspects, and we need to find out what their next target is. To do this, my strategy will be to try my best, since I can't scare these people because they are already convicted terrorists. I will try to build up empathy with them, show them that I really understand what they're going for. At this point in the game, we've talked with so many Liberation Front members, I can make a convincing case that I really understand what they're doing and what they're all about, and see if that opens them up in any way. So I'm gonna be really polite with Kufos here. You see, greetings, I have a few questions. She greets us back. You see the interpreter is helping us communicate. Let's see what her story is. Again, we can be very aggressive, but I'm gonna be calm. I'm gonna tell her that I'm very interested in her, and she seems to smile slightly. She seems to like that. Okay, let's talk a bit about yoga. Why not? Let's do some small talk. And she retorts that question: why did we choose police work? Well, of course we chose police work because it's our calling. Cool, so let's see if she's happy in her life. Again, someone that did terrorism must be unhappy about something. So she says she's comfortable, but that she can't be happy in a world in which the rich own the poor through capital and religion. So she has very, very extreme left-leaning political views, and that seems to be her motivations to act in the Liberation Front. Interesting. Let's talk to her about Cassandra, since Helen recruited Cassandra. Doesn't she feel guilty about any of this? Let's see, what did she teach Cassandra to do? And again, we can tell her that Cassandra broke, or that she didn't tell us anything. Let's, make her more confident, more calm, tell us she didn't do it. Cassandra didn't tell us anything. But that she is facing life in jail. And she tells us that the military-industrial complex will victimize Cassandra, have her killed in a prison incident. Okay. We hate the military-industrial complex too. If you hate it, we hate it. Okay, we've built up empathy with her. Let's see how can she justify all the suffering. Let's try to understand a bit more this terrorist's point of view. So she seems to be suffering. She seems to be feeling bad about all the suffering she's caused. Let's see what she tried to achieve with all that. Dissolving all of the power structures: capital, authority, religion, gender, and social roles. Okay, so a very anarchistic view of the world, but isn't killing innocents wrong? She says that they're consumers who bankroll the rotten order that we live in. But she looks down whilst she says this, so I'm not entirely convinced. I think she's justifying herself by saying that. I don't think she really believes that. How do you go from a yoga trainer to being a recruiter? Both guide the soul to fulfillment. Okay, let's see who are your bosses. She says she only answered Linda Bailey. So at this point, we have Helen Kufos telling us that Linda Bailey was her direct superior. That's something very useful to know. So let's talk a bit more about these other two people. Let's see if they know each other. We know Linda Bailey, and she tells us that Linda was the one in charge of their whole operation cell. So all three were in the same operation cell. Linda refused to have her sons recruited into the front, so Helen tried to recruit Linda Bailey's sons, but Linda refused that. Okay, why not? Okay, so we understand that if Linda believes that if the movement fails, at least the kids can watch the freak show from the first row, not from behind bars. So Linda is thinking about her children, so that even if the Liberation Front movement fails, at least her children won't be behind bars. Cool. So at this point, what we know is that Helen was the main recruiter. She feels kind of bad for what she did, but she thinks her fight is the fight against capitalism and the military-industrial complex. She responded to Linda. Let's see if she knows anything. She doesn't really. Maybe we should ask Linda. We won't do that just yet. Let's move to Draskell, the porn producer. Why would he risk a successful business? Well, he says that even though he makes good paper, you gotta change the world. Good thinking, Mr. Draskell. You gotta change the world. So what's your story? He's a self-made man, always looking for bigger things. We can mock him, or we can admire him, flatter him. Let's try to flatter him. He bites it instantly. He's glad we watch his stuff. I would never. Why porn though? Not a great answer. He just says he was made for porn and porn was made for him. So he's clearly very excited about his business. He sees it as an art form. What does your art express? Dissidence. Critique on how we're progressing. Okay. How we're ruled by feminazis and betas. So it's clear already that Anton Draskell here has very, very different views from Helen. He has a very far-right political view of the world. So let's talk a bit about your scandals. Let's try to empathize with him a bit. Well, it's hard to empathize with Draskell, but let's try our best, right? Well, let's try to play him. Let's try to manipulate him. Let's see if he's happy in his life. He says he would have liked to do more for the front before we grabbed him. Why hasn't he done more? Just, he didn't have enough time. What, does he have any family? Again, we could mock him. Let's try not. He says he keeps his business private, I'm sure. If we go back here, let's talk a bit about his terrorist activity. Let's see who gave you his orders. He says he did his own thing. Again, we know that Linda was the boss of this whole operation, so he's clearly bullshitting. Let's see if we can confront him. He doesn't really want to admit to that yet, so let's see if we can push him a bit more. Where'd you get your explosives? Well, here he shows some creativity. He actually acquired them himself. Does he know where they were used in? Doesn't really know. Doesn't seem to be thinking about it. Doesn't care about the innocents. Doesn't care that we disarmed his bomb. He doesn't really know how explosives are made, so we know he didn't do the bomb. What did he do? He says he's key to the whole operation. Okay, but we know he doesn't know how to make bombs. He doesn't know what the operation was. He was just a delivery. Let's see if we can make him admit to that. Let's talk about the other stuff. Let's see what he knows about Linda, or what he thinks about Kufos. He says they don't talk too much. Well, it makes sense given their extremely different political views. Let's try to play these ones against each other by telling him that Kufos says disagrees with his political views. And here we have another option opening here. So with this one, he wasn't responding. But since we now know so much, we can, and now that we've raised his empathy with us so much, we can tell him that the people in this organization obviously have no respect for him and his great art form, and that we need to know what the next move is, and then we'll get him a good deal, right? So he just cracks up. He was just a delivery boy after all, and he tells us that there's a big bombing coming up at some factory, and that's all he knows. Let's press him for more. He grins, but I don't think he knows more. I think he's just playing. He's just a delivery boy. So let's move on to Linda. Linda, the boss of the operation. Let's try to play nicely with Linda. If she was the boss, she must be really, really smart. So let's flatter her a bit about her being a good mom. The terrorism thing, as you call it, is also part of being a good mom. Well, doesn't she have a very flawed view of what motherhood is? Let's see what her story is. She's just a mama bear, so she really identifies with her role as a mother, right? That's what she's about. Raising her children, making sure they have a good future. So we know that about her. So probably making the world a better place is part of being a mama bear, right? Absolutely. So she agrees with us. We got that right about her. Let's see who's gonna take care of the kids. Her parents. Did anyone know about the Liberation Front? Again, Kufos told us Linda kept her kids away, and she confirms that. Now we have to see how we approach this. We can tell her she's just creating a more dangerous world, or that, we actually understand that the front, she did this because of her kids. She believes the front will make a better world for her kids. Let's try to do that. So again, our empathy with her raises, and she tells us that she wants to ensure that they can live in a world in which they have control over their lives. Okay. Moving back here, we know she was the one that manipulated Daniel Wilson by blackmail. So let's see why. Poor thing needed help with his mother, so she tried to help. So she really thinks she's the good guy, the good person in all of this, right? We can press her or not, but we're playing this sort of. We're trying to get under her skin, so let's try to raise our empathy with her a bit more. We have two other friends. We know Helen has a very left-leaning view. We know Anton has a very right-leaning view, so a very fair question is, how do you keep them working together? And then she reveals a bit of the inside working of the Liberation Front by telling us she just makes sure they have no time to discuss their outlooks on life and society, and they call their outlooks naive. So it doesn't seem that Linda has a very ideologically charged view of the world. It seems like she's against ideology to begin with. Okay. Finally, let's talk some more about the explosives, right? That she organized. It seems she was the one that actually crafted the explosives. let's see, where did she send them to? All sorts of nice people. So she doesn't want to tell us that, even though she seems to be opening up to us. She really is not ready to tell us that. We know she was the boss of her cell, but let's see if she can tell us who was the boss of Linda. She tells us her own initiative. We know, both from Helen and from Anton and from Linda, that she is high ranking, but she's probably not the boss of the whole Liberation Front, right? So let's try to challenge her with that. And she's silent for a couple of seconds, and she tells us that Lady Luck trusts me with managing my own cell. Now, Lady Luck is the person that, if you read the newspapers, wrote one of the very popular manifestos that spread throughout the internet and basically promoted the Liberation Front's propaganda, and she's very widely read. So she is one of the main promoters of the Liberation Front online through her writings. Here Linda's telling us that, Lady Luck trusts me, so it's clear that this Lady Luck, which is obviously a code name, is the boss of it. Okay, let's go back. Let's finally try to see what factory are you targeting, because we know it's a factory for Anton, and she seems a bit surprised. She's impressed actually, and nods. All traces of fear seem to fade away. So she's impressed we found out about them, that she congratulates us, and she tells us it's going off very soon. So we can see suddenly a timer starts, because if it's blowing up very soon, we need to get to it fast. So all of these yellow questions are from different things we uncovered throughout our game, right? We know she's leadership, close to Lady Luck. We know Linda knows what will happen, so what's the plan? Doesn't want to tell us. We know Linda doesn't believe in ideology. Ideology is just a distraction. We can try to persuade her with that. She nods. And finally, let's tell her that, we just want to take back control over our lives as well. We can try to play Linda, because we found that out. And, smiling widely, Linda thinks we're on board with her, that perhaps the Liberation Front has convinced us, the player, too. So let me see the freak show. In the end, we will strike back against ourselves. So let's click on that, and we've managed to manipulate Linda into believing that we empathize with the Liberation Front, we understand it, and we just want to see a nice explosion, because we're actually on the Liberation Front side. So she gives us the address, and we can now act on that. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope this video helps you.